What's up, everybody? I'm the Man Goose, and this is For the Minions, a weekly podcast. It's supposed to be weekly. We didn't do one last week, but it's supposed to be a weekly podcast about upcoming third-person MOBAs. I was a little lazy this week. I didn't schedule a guest host, so it's just me and my friend and co-host Jelly Knees. How you doing, Jelly?
Well, Mangoose, you can dance if you want to. You can leave this world behind. But, you know, I'm always happy to be here on For the Minions, even if I'm remote this week.
Yeah. And thanks for getting that song stuck in my head. He did it before we even started recording. We got a lot to talk about this week. We got a lot going on. We got Predecessor has their stress test that should be going on even as we speak. Overprime had a community corner, a bunch of skin concepts. Fault they just had their Crunch Master Race sort of thing. We've already talked about Fault and Crunch, and then Ethereal's got a couple some new splash art, and then some announcements to make. And yeah, we're going to get into it. Let's start off with definitely Predecessor, because that's probably the biggest news out of all of these right now. Now, the test runs from, if you're watching this, it's April 1st through the 3rd, and you just go to their Steam page and you can register for the stress test. And I don't think there's a limit on how many people can test. I think you could just pretty much, if you go to that page and sign up, you're in. Is that one? I didn't get to play in the last one. Is that one how the last one worked, Jelly?
Basically, so you requested access, and then they, in waves, very, very quickly, but in waves, rolled out keys to everybody. I think within the first hour, pretty much everybody had access that had requested it. So,
Okay.
Which is good to see that they're not putting a limit on it from last time, where they didn't have a limit at all. But at the same time, I think we talked about it. I think before, maybe we did. I don't know. You and I talked about it at the very minimum, in that the announcement was very short notice for them, which is odd. And so it could be that they're not putting a limit on it, but they're hoping that because of that short notice, maybe we get fewer people.
Fly it under the
so
radar.
We'll have to see what happens. Yeah.
That's funny. I like that. Well, I got to play it. They had a content creator event that I'm not allowed to talk about until this comes out. So Jelly, you're hearing exclusive information that nobody's supposed to know about. But I'm sure like everybody knows about anyway. But yeah, they had a content creator event. They let us capture video and play. So I have played Predecessor prior to the recording For the Minions, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun. I'm hoping that they get plenty of people into play, and I hope it goes better than the last time. I can only imagine it's going to go better than the last one, because they specifically hired a company that deals with back end to handle Predecessor. So they should not have any back-end problems this time, I wouldn't think.
I mean, if everybody can get into one game, that's already better than last time, so, you know.
Yeah, right. Instead of a handful of people getting into maybe 2 or 3 games.
Yeah, exactly.
I will say, and I'm going to get fucking crucified for saying this, there wasn't as much progress made on Predecessor as I thought there was going to be. There was progress. The game is fun. I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to talk shit about Predecessor. I'm just saying I thought they would be further along on this stress test than they actually were. Like, you still don't have controller support. You still can't change your ability cast settings. There was audio issues. They're just, the overall game, I've been struggling to find a word for it. It felt soft. Like, melee hits on minions didn't feel like you were really hitting anything. Gideon and the Fae, of course, have a big wind up whenever they cast a basic attack, because they're throwing it from their hands. But even after throwing it, the projectile went super slow. So like the entire process of basic attacking with either one of them just felt bad. I think there's a lot of fine tuning they need to do with Predecessor yet.
Which is really kind of sad to hear to one extent, because it's been 9 months now since their last test. It'll be 9 months as of April. I mean, that's a long time to essentially just get your back end theoretically in order, depending on how this weekend goes, get your back end in order and add 3 or 4 characters, right? And so, like, I mean, ability cast settings was, I know, a big gripe for me in all of their previous tests. So not having that sucks. Not having controller support we know is going to suck for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Um, I, hopefully, I mean, so from what you're saying, I have not played it myself yet, but where Overprime is probably a slightly overly crisp and like really hard for the description you've been giving, it sounds like you're saying Predecessor's kind of on the opposite of that swing, where they're lacking that kind of crispness of actions and kind of things like that.
I think that's a very good way to say it, because Overprime is a little too crisp, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like and Predecessor is just a little too soft. So I don't know,
we need the
man.
Goldilocks game. Where's the Goldilocks game where we get
it's kind of Fault right now. Like Fault, people love to shit on Fault, but Fault feels great to play. Like if all three of the games were to release right now, well, I mean Fault's out right now, but if Predecessor were to release in its current state and Overprime would release in the state that it was in for their last closed beta test, if I was forced to choose to play one, I would choose Fault. That's a bold fucking statement that I'm going to get crucified for.
Seriously.
But, I mean,
leave your comments below now.
But I mean, for real, Overprime. I'm not saying that down the road Overprime or Predecessor won't overtake Fault. I mean, I'm kind of sure that it will happen actually, but for right now, you can definitely tell that Fault has been a live service game for 2 years because they've got shit figured out and they've been making the changes as they go. Their they have benefited more from trial and error than these other games, because the other games don't have any trial and error. There's been very few trials for them. So yeah,
and that kind of gets into a point I wanted to talk about with Faults. So if you have anything left on Predecessor, I think we should do that first.
Okay. I really don't have anything else to talk about with Predecessor. Just, I mean, look for me in the game. I'm going to be playing all weekend. This is an opinion that I formed only over like about 8 hours of game time on Tuesday. So maybe over the weekend, maybe something will change, and maybe I'll just realize, maybe something will snap in my head. But for now, I think it feels a little incomplete.
Yeah.
Predecessor.
Well, yeah, look out for Mangoose and I, because we'll dominate games just like we did the last stress test we were together in, man. So
by the way, I played with Smashly.
Oh, did you? Perfect.
Yeah.
Great. That means Smash is going to be in this weekend. I can dominate her again.
For whatever reason, I played out of my goddamn mind that game. I wasn't against her, though. I was with her this time.
Okay.
She's like my good luck charm. Whenever she's in a game, either against me or with me, I'm guaranteed to do some... Like, I was doing shit. Like, I was staying back with Steel. I was like, all right, wait for Gideon to portal. And Gideon portaled towards his team. Then I ulted on top of everybody.
Nice.
Like, called shots and shit. Yeah, it was pretty nuts, but... Oh, well.
So I think with Fault, Mangu, something I was thinking about today is that I, with the release of Crunch, have been increasingly impressed with the Fault team. And in a way that, like, when things go wrong, for instance, Crunch had several pretty game-breaking issues day one, right? They got a fix out there within 24 hours. They were on top of it. They addressed it. They put a fix out and put it out there. I would rather it be fixed at first, right? But of course you can't get everything every time. But seeing where they've come from to where they are, they've massively improved over that 2 years that they've been out. Like, there's no question about that. Even just, not even from a game perspective, just in a dev team perspective, in terms of turnaround, in terms of quick answers for things and getting that stuff figured out.
Right.
And I think that gives them an insane edge over these other two companies because they have the practice already.
If they would stop shooting themselves in the goddamn foot, they might be able to use that advantage that they have to get ahead, but they have not. They have not used that advantage. Unfortunately, Fault just it's the popular game to make fun of, that people, without even playing the game, will shit on it. We'll be like, oh, that's just a cash grab. It's like, it's been out for 2 years. Like, I think people that paid $20 for it got their money's worth by now if they've been playing it. But I don't know, man. I do believe that Fault is going to eventually get left in the dust. They just don't have the money to compete with Predecessor or Overprime. And like, I'm saying all these problems with Predecessor, I'm sure they'll get fixed rather quickly. Overprime, we've seen how fast they can move. Like, I guarantee their next closed beta test is going to be a significant improvement over their last closed beta test because they move fast. They know what they're
100%.
doing. So I don't know if Fault will be able to keep up. Maybe if they would have established a lead with a really good game from the get-go, but that's kind of the gamble, the risk you take is they released the game in a state that people just, it was nothing like Paragon whatsoever, so people hated it. People didn't seem to realize that it was going to take a couple years of work to improve it to get it to where it is now. So they kind of missed the boat. That gamble, I don't think, worked out for them. I hate to say it, but I said it on the Fault partner panel. It's sink or swim for Fault right now, and they seem to be sinking.
Yeah,
I love the game
agree.
too. I love the game, and I love their dev team and everything. Like, it's a great game, but I don't think it's going to be able to compete with Predecessor or Overprime.
Yeah, I mean, they need money or players, and they have neither right now. And
Exactly.
so despite the improvements that they have made, right? If something doesn't change soon, it's hard to say that they're going to pull off any kind of comeback or overtake of these other two companies by any stretch.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Unfucking fortunate.
Agreed.
Let's see. Fault news. They had Cyber Drunk on their community spotlight. That's kind of cool. He's a content creator, makes a lot of memes. And then they had the Crunch Master Skin race. Whenever Crunch was dropped, they had a race to see who could get to his gold skin first, not his master skin, his gold skin, which we spoke about this on the partner panel. I thought this was a responsible decision from them because it takes a hell of a lot longer to grind up to master than it does to gold.
100%.
And this prevents people from literally killing themselves trying to get to gold first. And it was some Kaijin won.
Yeah,
within like
which
a weekend.
Good for Kaijin. Kaijin's played this game nonstop since its release, so
yeah.
Good for Kaijin.
Yeah, and I think he gets like a special avatar or some shit. I forget what it was. I wasn't all that interested in the master skin race, to be honest. I just think
it's something that Paragon did, right? So
yeah,
it makes sense that they have started implementing it. It's a great retention thing for that first weekend that the character's out. So I think it's a great idea. I think it shows their mastery system and how much of a grind it is by using only the gold instead of using to the actual master. But at the same time, I don't think that's a bad thing.
You don't want mastery skins to be easy to get by any account.
Yeah, I mean, Paragon, people would do the same thing. In a weekend, they could grind out the master skin for a lot of the heroes. And so it made them less special because everyone could have them if they just played the character enough.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think that's all I had for Fault, unless you had something else you wanted to talk about.
No, not at all.
Cool beans. Let's move on to Overprime. They had a lot of stuff going on in their work in progress, but the main thing I want to talk about with Overprime was they had a community corner. Did you watch that, Jelly?
I did not. I haven't had a chance to, unfortunately.
Oh, it was so good. Like, even though it was in Korean, it had such strong, like, epic Paragon community corner vibes to it. Like, it was so good. Like, just the interaction between the various developers, mainly Ranger and Rocket Mania, and they were just talking about the history of the game, how things came about, how they met up, and I don't know. It just gave me a real good warm and fuzzy. It was just, a bunch of dudes talking about the video game that they're making, and it was I thought it was really, really well done. Like, you should, once you get a chance, once we're done here, like, head over to their announcements in their Discord and check that out, because it's really good.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard nothing but amazing things now from you, but even other people that I know watched it said that it was incredible. So I think that's a really good thing for them to establish that sense of camaraderie in their own community.
Yeah. It was interesting too. I was talking to Stunt the other day. I was telling him about Prime X, which was the game Soul Eve started with, which was supposed to be a battle royale with the Paragon heroes. I didn't think they would ever bring that up again, but they brought it up during that community corner. Just like they kind of hinted at it.
Yeah, that exists. We don't talk about it very much.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a bad word anymore. Battle royale.
No, seriously.
As far as in their work in progress, that the face skin that we talked about last weekend, they finished that concept, and it actually does look like better. I didn't think it could look better. It looks really, really good. And then they had a Kwong skin concept. Did you see that shit, Jelly?
Yes. Oh my God.
Looked like
Oh, it
Vampire
looks
Hunter
so
D.
good. Yes. Ah, man, I'm not even a Kwong player, and that skin looks amazing to me.
Yeah, oh,
And
that's
which I say about almost every skin that I see from them is like, I don't even play that character, but I'd buy that skin, right?
yeah,
And that's
100%.
huge.
100%. It just looks badass.
Yeah, it's so good.
I suck with Kwong so bad, and every time I tried to in Paragon and Fault, whenever I've tried to play Kwong, it's no bueno. But yeah,
That's
with
your
that
next.
skin.
That's your next learning a hero, Mangoose. Is
Yep.
you'll have to learn Kwong.
Or Han, as they call him.
Yeah, you're right, Han.
Yeah, it was a really cool skin. They had some concepts for Grim that were pretty cool, and then they had some kind of weird spaceship thing like that they made.
So, the spaceship, I think, has to do with their character select, because if you remember in their character select, it says "Welcome to the Ark" or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you're on what feels like a spaceship, definitively, and then you're being portaled. You're taken somehow to the battlefield, right? And so I'm curious if that spaceship has something to do with that transition, or what they're going to do to build into that somehow.
Good call. Good call. It does look a little bit like their towers too, so that could maybe tie into the whole thing.
Trying to bring the theme more cohesively together. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea as just a lore concept. That's really cool. Yeah, you are kind of. It's like you're on the entertainment deck of a spaceship.
And like we've seen with Fault, and I love them. Every time I see them, I'm impressed. Is there like transition animations of like the portal opening into the character select, and then the transition out of character select into the map, and like I could definitely see Overprime doing something very similar to that.
I would love to see it if they beamed down from that spaceship down to like a planet.
That'd be so cool.
That'd be neat.
Especially with like the spawn effect on the platforms, the base platforms.
Yeah.
You could really make that a portal effect, that they're being portaled from the spaceship down onto the platform as well.
Yeah, that portal effect's pretty much already there, so.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
tie it in. The last thing I want to talk about with Overprime was they had new item art, which looked significantly better than any of the item art that we saw in their first outing. I highly doubt this will be in the next closed beta test, but I am looking forward to this because it does look much, much better than what they had. They had some really
100%.
basic stuff last time.
Yeah, it was good. It wasn't terrible, right? But this is definitely a class above that for sure.
Yeah. The other stuff was serviceable. This is actual polished, finished product that you would want to see in the game. And then that's all I had for Overprime, unless you had anything else, Jelly.
Nothing immediately comes to mind. Hopefully we get that announcement of their next test soon. I've been kind of like itching for Overprime a little bit.
Yeah. It was fun. I mean, you can't deny that it was fun.
Yeah, 100%.
So Ethereal, I'll let you take it away with the Ethereal announcements that you want to put out.
Yeah, I mean, so let's start with the splash arts. Well, we've got Talos as a complete redesign of Talos, actually. So this is his base skin now. So this splash art will be his base skin. So when you get Talos as a character, this is the skin that you'll start with. Is this I want to give it a name, but it's just base Talos now. I love this skin so much. Like it's not that I didn't like his old one, but this one just kind of makes him feel more like that bounty hunter collecting trophies kind of guy that his lore makes him out to be. Mm-hmm. And I think this sells that a lot more.
It definitely has a more savage appeal to it. And I like that a lot. I do like it much better than his original base skin. Like we kind of shit on his base skin a long time ago.
Yeah, we did.
But yeah, the new one looks way better.
Yeah, for those of you that did enjoy the original base skin, though, it's not going away. What it's going to be turned into it's going to be called a classic Talos skin. Okay. And what it's going to be is anyone that made an account prior to the pre-alpha going out will gain classic Talos automatically.
Oh, cool.
So it's not disappearing. It's just going into a skin, an actual skin now, and this will be his new base.
So the skin that I shit on, I will be rocking for clout.
Exactly. Awesome. Yeah, I've got classic Talos, man. Like, what do you?
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I like that. And then you had some other splash art too, yeah?
Yeah, we had Frost. So Frost is a character that we've teased a couple times in past community corners, and this is their official splash art. And so, I mean, it sells the creature, right? You get the Phaser Beast feel for sure that you've mentioned several times. But I love this splash art too, with the tendrils, and just it makes it feel like a quadruped, like running around and dashing and darting back and forth, right? And so it's a cool design in that way.
So that's the official name is Frost? I think that's the first time we've heard
Frost.
the name.
Yeah. FROSS is the character's name.
Okay. Yeah, that looks really fucking cool, and people are going to be so excited to have an actual quadrupedal creature in one of these MOBAs. And you know, if anybody would pull it off, it would be you guys, of course. Ethereal. So yeah,
why stop pushing the line, you know?
Yeah, I'm very excited to get my hands on Frost whenever. I'm sure that'll be well down the line that we actually get to play Frost, but it's cool to see. The splash art is fucking amazing as always.
Oh yeah, and that's the art team and the animation team have been doing a great job on these. For those of you that are on Patreon, there's some behind the scenes of how those got created on there as well that people have been getting. So it's really cool to just see it all kind of come together and fit those pieces in.
Right on.
And then unfortunately I do have bad news that I have to give after all that cool stuff, right? Yeah. Unfortunately we are delaying our test. We originally said that we were looking for a test in April, and unfortunately we're going to kind of indefinitely delay that. There's some really core features that we're working on that are on our roadmap that are just not ready yet, and we want to be able to implement those, get them thoroughly tested before we have a test. We don't want to all right, 2 days before the test, yeah, they're in, let's hope they go well, right?
Yeah.
Like that's not something we want to do by any stretch. So we're indefinitely delaying the test until we can solidify those are in, well tested, and on through. Things like controller support, some cast setting stuff, like some pretty core MOBA items.
Okay.
Right, that we want to make sure are in there before that next test going forward. So it is indefinite. We'll definitely keep people posted as to when it's going forward, but that is unfortunately what's going on.
Okay, right on. I don't mind that too much because we have had several tests for Ethereal now, which I didn't expect to have that many in a row already. So, but there was actually a lot of changes between those tests. But yeah, if you guys need time to do core programs and stuff, instead of releasing the game or having the game tested in an unfinished state, I think it would be a lot better for you guys overall. Like I was saying with Fault, they released their game a little too early and it bit them in the ass.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And we don't want there to only be one or two changes between tests, right? Ideally, we're going out there and showing significant improvement and significant changes with each test. And with our map, which is going to be completely different for this next test as well, we really want to have as many things completed and on the table as possible to kind of present a new foot forward into Ethereal.
Okay, right on. You said that's indefinite, so we have no.
Yeah, I don't have any kind of time frame
that
I can give or anything. It's just one of those. Once we know more of when these systems will be in place and when they're tested, we'll definitely be keeping the word out for everybody getting that next test.
Right on. Okay then. I guess until then I'll be looking at my Frost background on my computer. That shit's awesome. I'm probably not gonna be a character I play. Well, no, I say that now. Oh, I'll probably never play Leah. I said that so many times.
And then I was saying I was going to play nothing but Leah, and here we are. Now you're the Leah player, and I'm a Malaya player. We completely flipped characters.
I know,
honestly.
right? We did. But that's okay. All right. Do you have anything else for Ethereal?
I think that's everything.
All right, cool. I actually didn't come up with a. I was so fucking lazy this week. I didn't come up with a topic discussion or anything. So I mean, we could just make it a short episode if you want, or if you have something you want to talk about, we can talk about that.
I think we've talked about everything I can think of at the moment. I mean, I'm excited for this weekend for Predecessor. See where things go. Hopefully, it's a better test for them. Fingers crossed, and it leads into a lot more competitive future for all three of these games. You know.
Yeah. I would like to see them forcing each other to strive a little harder and work a little more.
Yep, 100%.
I think I will say.
But you know what I did see? No, go ahead. I'll let you finish first.
Oh no, I'm just going to say that I'm going to say that I intentionally made this episode short because I knew that the predecessor stress test was going on, and I didn't want to take up too much of people's time.
Yeah. That was totally it. The good news is, right? We saw emotes for predecessor. So what they're saying is that you can dance if you want to, Mangoose.
God
you
damn
can
it.
leave our world behind.
Leave Agora behind.
Had to bring it back one more time.
It's the Shinbi dance. Yeah. I think that's gonna about wrap it up for this week then. Yeah, if you guys want to host, just hit me up. Let me know if you want to come on here and talk about anything you want to talk about. Let me know in the comments below, or hit my DMs on the Discord, and we'll have you on here, and we'll bullshit around about all this stuff. But yeah, plugs, Jelly. You got anything to plug?
Nothing crazy to plug this week. Just all the games, man.
Yeah.
Go play Predecessor. Go follow all these things. Try Fault if you haven't. Keep an eye on Ethereal. Overprime is coming as well. Right. I think they're all reaching a point where we're gonna see a lot of critical stuff being done in the space for each of these games. So it's a good time to be following all of them.
I think we're about at the stage where we're going to see which one's going to just fall off the map and which ones are going to pull forward. I got nothing
100%.
to plug as usual. If you're watching this, you're already on my channel, so cool. And that is going to wrap it up for this week. Look for Jelly, look for Team Jelly Goose in the predecessor. But for now, this is the For the Minions crew signing off. You guys have a good one.
You can dance if you want to. You can leave this world behind. I don't know why it's stuck in my head today.
But Mango.